So we just need to keep it in mind. But it's a symptom, again, of the culture of death way of life, as is vaccinations. And we're all talking about shifting the consciousness that says, hey, we're one with the living planet, and we start doing things in a natural way. In Ayurvedic, we call it, we stop doing crimes against wisdom. And diabetes is a way of living in a way that we're not creating crimes against wisdom that create global warming and indeed create a tremendous amount of chronic disease on the planet. Thank you for asking the question.
Well, thank you very much for such a fascinating question and some interesting answers. We have one last question from the audience, and it will come from Lance Webster.
I'm Lance Webster, the administrator for Earth Communications Office. From the early 1990s through a couple of years ago, we produced a series of public service announcements that have been seen by over 1 billion people worldwide in most of the major languages of the United Nations on environmental issues. And my question is, if we were to produce more materials, or if the media in general were to focus on a particular area, I'd like to ask each of the three panelists very briefly to say, what would you recommend for media focus? Could be governmental issues, could be technology issues, could be economic issues or spiritual issues, or a combination, or can you phrase, each of you, very briefly, what direction you think the media should go in order to create the kind of change we need to see in the world?
So the first thing we want to play with, and it starts really with what John said, there's another media, okay? And that media is our own frequency of our DNA. It's the DNA internet. And when we are conscious, we are communicating a level of consciousness, a holographic experience of a deeper reality. So when we create the holographic experience of peace within ourselves, it goes out all over the planet. It actually even affects the amount of sunspots. When people meditate in each equinox and solstice, literally what happens is the sunspots decrease by 36%. So don't think that we have the most powerful media that's inside of us, and it's the frequency of our DNA. It comes from our state of consciousness in our heart and our mind becoming one. So that's the ultimate media. It's the consciousness of the people creating the media that needs to be changed. And when we have people like John Ratz who have been that way for a while, it's great. And we need more people in the media who go in with consciousness and hold that consciousness. Because the truth is, there are so many people, and that's what John Ratz's work has shown, who want to get a deeper insight. But because of the economic needs, which is wealth for the few and ill health for the many, they're not allowing that truth to get out. But if we have the spiritually inspired, divinely inspired media, they will still do this because they will be able to communicate that truth on every level. So beyond a particular topic, the truth will be communicated as on a consciousness level, whatever topic we're talking about.
Briefly, my general operating principle, as much as possible, is don't chase the media, be the media, and operate according to the principle of the highest first, which means go for that, whether it's a cause or, most importantly, consciousness and transformation itself. Let that be your guiding principle for selecting your approach, your tactic, your strategy, and so forth. So, there's so many issues, and it's mind-numbing, and maybe you even know the term compassion fatigue. There's just so much to do, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So how do you choose? Well, align with what you feel inside. Align with your intuition about what you should follow. And don't chase the mainstream media, but be the media. Use the internet because it's the most effective tool right now for effecting social change. And there are so many ways of using the media from a marketing and public relations and publicity standpoint, as you know. And I feel that that's one of the best ways to marshal mass consciousness right now. A minor example, there's a movie in development right now called The Shift. As soon as the trailer for The Shift got out, There were hundreds of thousands of people worldwide who saw it. And the movie is profiling those individuals, companies, and organizations that are creating the shift in the world, not waiting for the mainstream media to report on it, but saying, look at what these people are doing. And there's tremendous support for it. And so just use your heart, your intuition, your consciousness to promote itself, consciousness and transformation, and whatever the manifestations of that are for you, go with that.
Very good, very good. Very good. Very good, John. Mr. Russ, very good.
So, as you can tell, conscious media is being taken care of. John Rotz and the Elizabeth Estradas and Daryl Merchant's Elevate Films, Free Range Studios, these people are doing it, and they're doing it very, very well, and I look forward to seeing what they come out with in the future. The one take that I would have is sort of practical stuff. And while it's very clear that if people shift their consciousness, they will also become sustainable in their daily lives, because the first step is consciousness. But also, I think there's a big gap for people, especially in certain areas of this country, that it's kind of hard to take that leap from totally unconscious to conscious. So I think that, giving people sort of solutions, the stuff that we focus on, stuff that's really practical for them and realistic. And so we're actually working with Free Range Studios to come out with a movie about creative solutions, things that people can do in their daily lives, save the environment and themselves. And that's one area that I would really like to target, a demographic that's still a long way away from being truly conscious. But I have faith that the rest of it is in very, very good hands.
Great answers from our panel, and now we do move on to Supreme Master and her closing thoughts.
Well, we're hoping to have you sum up the conference. We've covered so much ground. We've covered spirituality. We've covered the global warming crisis and the connection to the food consumption habits of Americans and the rest of the world. We've covered a transformational media. What's the commonality there? How do we sort of compress all this so that we can take it away with us?
Good question. Jane and all the distinguished people, I am a very simple woman. We can only say that everything takes so long. To get the media involved in this maybe take some time. To have the technology for sustainable energy takes some time. To